Connext, which is a bridging protocol, or I guess like interoperability protocol that is building on Ethereum and obviously other chains, announced today that they started off this tweet thread by saying that currently interacting with an app across chains is difficult and time consuming. You have to select the right network, bridge assets, get gas tokens, etc., etc. And they say here Web3 users deserve a better experience. So today they've introduced something called Chain Abstraction, which allows for onboarding users from anywhere regardless of the chain they are on. So this is basically what I've been advocating for quite a while now when it comes to interoperability between different chains, especially different L2s. You basically want to abstract away, I should say, every complexity for the user. So bridging assets, choosing the right network, getting gas tokens, that shouldn't be something that is presented to the end user. What they should see is basically a 1 to 2 click thing that they can play around, they can use in order to get to where they want to go. Now, you can read this blog post for full details about how this is going to work, but an analogy I like to use is something like, if you're using these things to travel between different points, think about a robust public transportation system and a really shitty public transportation system. So I'm going to use 2 examples here. I think that Japan, I've used Japan's public transportation system, especially their metro system, and it is the best I've ever used by far. And that's not just me saying it. Obviously, it is praised all around the world for how good it is. And then you have the public transportation system in the US, which all I hear about from everyone is that it's incredibly bad. So if you're using this analogy, we need to make the experience between bridging between different L2s and chains like Japan's metro system and not like the US metro system, which it currently is like the US metro system. And I'm not trying to fight the US here or anything like that, but you want to hear praise for bridging between different things, and you want to hear people not even really having to worry about it. I mean, I'm sure people that live in Japan don't even worry about if their train's going to be on time, or if their train connects them to where they want to go, or whatever else, or if their kind of their card's going to work, or if there's going to be violence on the train or anything like that. I don't think they worry about that at all. When I was traveling in Japan for 3 weeks, I didn't worry about the train being on time, and if I missed the train, another one was coming like 2 minutes later. Whereas, Australia's not got the best public transport either, mind you. If I'm comparing it to where I live in Melbourne, I mean, I don't catch it much anymore, but I have friends that do, and when I used to, it's not great, right? It is basically built as an afterthought after the developers have gone in and built all the properties in a new estate. What ends up happening is that, I mean, the same is true, I think, in the US. They just build a train station out there, but I mean, it's not great, right? Whereas in Japan, I don't know exactly how they built it in Japan, but essentially they're very high density, so they obviously needed a good public transportation system, and it's so good that it really just is something that is expected to work all the time and expected to be on time, expected to offer a great user experience, basically. So I think that's where we need to go with these kind of bridging protocols and these interoperability protocols, especially on top of Ethereum with the L2s and the rollups, because if we don't do that, yes, there'll be liquidity fragmentation, but I think that what's worse than liquidity fragmentation is just user fragmentation, because and basically confusing users. Because let's say, for example, someone goes to Arbitrum and they're like, okay, I'm on Arbitrum now, going to play around here, going to do this stuff here. And then they're like, oh, damn, like this thing that I want to do is actually on Optimism. And then they're like, okay, well, I have to bridge over there and I have to get my funds over there somehow. And they have to go through all this complex bridging. That's not how we're going to get mass adoption. And I even think that people kind of bridging to Arbitrum or bridging to Optimism, bridging to anything is not how we're going to get mass adoption. We're going to get mass adoption by people building stuff on top of protocols like Connext that allow them to easily tap into all of these different rollups and L2s and basically places where liquidity exists, and then offering that product to their users in a simple way, like 1 to 2 clicks to do whatever you want. You know, maybe you want to get some yield, right? And maybe that the product doesn't even tell you where the yield is coming from. They just say to you, hey, you know, where such and such, you earn a 5% yield with us, or whatever it is, 5-10% yield with us on your dollars. And then in the background, they put those funds into some app on some chain somewhere, and they're using Connext to do that. So that's what I think the end game is for these interoperability protocols. And if you want to learn more about Connext solution, you can check it out. I'll link the thread in the YouTube description below.